It's long been rumored and now finally confirmed Meyer Shank Racing will return to Imsa's GTP class with Acura in 2025. The news was announced after much speculation that the two would reunite in Imsa's top class. Honda Racing Corporation, or HRC, would announce this news with this statement. Honda Racing Corporation USA today confirmed it will partner with championship-winning Meyer Shank Racing to field a pair of Acura ARX 06 entries in the 2025 IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, starting with the season-opening Rolex 24 at Daytona in January. The multi-year agreement will see HRC US take on a larger operational role as the company further develops its personnel and technology for the hybrid electrified racing era. HRC US associates will race engineer one of the two GTP entries, while Meyer Shank Racing will oversee the second Acura ARX 06. Alright, so a couple of big things to unpack here. First, HRC is going to be operating one of these cars, and Meyer Shank Racing is going to be operating the second car. This is certainly a big change for HRC to get this hands-on and operate one of these entries like this, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch how this program develops. Now, I'm sure that Meyer Shank Racing is going to be helping them get their feet under them and get this program set up, and given Meyer Shank Racing's track record, I think that both of these cars are going to be ultra competitive on the IMSA grid next year. Now, it's also noted here that this is a multi-year agreement, something that HRC has not done with previous agreements. Of course, that became very evident when Meyer Shank Racing was ousted as an Acura team after the first year of the GTP program. So this stability is, again, a really good thing to see with this announcement, and hopefully that stability is going to lead to some more performance gains for them with the car. Now, of course, we can't talk about this announcement without first remembering that Meyer Shank Racing was indeed critical in the development and operation of the ARX 06. In addition to running one of these cars in the 2023 IMSA season, they were also working with Wayne Taylor Racing and HRC to help develop this car. And actually, thus far, Meyer Shank Racing is still the winningest team with the ARX 06, as they had 3 wins in IMSA last year compared to Wayne Taylor Racing Andretti's 2 wins that they've picked up this year. Now, of course, the relationship between Meyer Shank Racing and HRC came to an end at the conclusion of the 2023 season, and the Meyer Shank Racing entry was passed along to Wayne Taylor Racing with Andretti to run 2 cars for the 2024 season. Notably, this decision came after controversial findings coming out of the Rolex 24 last year, where it was found that Meyer Shank Racing was manipulating tire pressure data to gain an advantage, and Honda did not take too kindly to that. Now, this also brings up the question of Wayne Taylor Racing with Andretti, an iconic team on the IMSA grid, and what their plans are going to be for the 2025 season. Looking back at Wayne Taylor Racing's history, they have been running Acuras since 2021, when they took over running one of the Team Penske Acuras. And since then, they've continued to compete with Acura first in the DPI class, and then of course transitioning together to this new LMDH era. With that, Wayne Taylor Racing with Andretti released the following statement. "We've had a successful run with HRC and Acura these past 4 years. When it came to renewal, we listened and took their future plans into serious consideration, but in the end felt we needed to go in a different direction moving forward. With 3 key races left in the season, our plan is to continue to focus on winning more podiums and races for Acura and to end the year strong. We are looking forward to announcing our plans for 2025 in the very near future." Now, prior to moving over with Acura in 2021, Wayne Taylor Racing had a very long relationship with GM brands. They ran Corvettes during the Daytona prototype era, and after that, they continued on to run Cadillacs in the DPI era. So it's absolutely not surprising to see that Wayne Taylor Racing with Andretti are very closely linked with running 2 Cadillacs in IMSA next year. This speculation really started to fire up after the news that Chip Ganassi Racing would not be running Cadillacs anymore in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. However, despite this heavy speculation, there are still some questions that remain from this. Notably, who the drivers will be for Meyer Shank Racing and the Wayne Taylor Racing with Andretti cars. I understand that both Ricky and Jordan Taylor, who are competing in the number 10 and number 40 entries this year, are both contracted to HRC as opposed to Wayne Taylor Racing. I just want to reiterate that this is of course just what I've heard and read, and I have absolutely no way to confirm this. but this could lead to some interesting silly season moves. In fact, if the two are contracted to HRC, then I would probably expect them to team up and compete in that HRC operated car. As for Meyer Shank Racing, the obvious candidate to fill one of those full-time driver seats is Tom Blomqvist. He is currently competing in the number 31 Action Express Racing Cadillac this year, but has also very recently competed with Meyer Shank Racing in IndyCar. That IndyCar ride was supposed to last the full season, but he was recently removed from that seat, but I think he's still probably a pretty safe bet to be in one of those seats. The second seat leaves some more questions. Perhaps you could see the return of Helio Castroneves to full-time capacity, seeing as he's not competing full-time on the IndyCar grid anymore, just doing some one-off entries there. Or perhaps they could go in another direction with a new up-and-comer. If I were a betting man, though, I'd keep a very close eye on Colin Braun, who competed with them in the 2023 season. And of course, they had quite a bit of success during that year. This is clearly just the first of many dominoes that are set to fall in what's shaping up to be a pretty wild IMSA silly season. In fact, the first move of the silly season really got kicked off back in May when Cadillac announced that Chip Ganassi Racing would no longer be operating their cars in IMSA or the WEC. You can learn all about that right here. Huge shout out to all the channel supporters. If you too want to support the show, then you can head to patreon.com/offtheS's or click the join button below. Once again though, thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great race weekend and doesn't go off in the S's.